Now that we finished our train assembly, we're going to make our track, our first piece, or our straight track. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a sketch, and we're going to place that on our front plane. And what we're going to do is grab our center point rectangle tool, and we'll make a 1 inch by 3.4 inch rectangle. Now, the next thing that we can do is we can grab our corner rectangle tool, and at this top line here, we're going to make a 0.35 inch by 0.1875 inch. And I'm going to do that same thing on this side, that 0.35 inch by 1.1875 inches. Now I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and I'm going to dimension this rectangle from the side exactly 0.4 inches. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to dimension that 0.4 inches. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my trim tool, and I'm going to trim off this top line here, right there, and I'm going to trim off this top line here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my extrude button, and the first length of track is 12 inches. So I'm going to extrude this 12 inches. So what you can see is I have that nice groove section of track. The next thing I'm going to do is lay down a sketch on my top right here, because we have both male and female ends that we have to connect on these tracks. So I'm going to start by grabbing my circle tool, and again I'm going to line up with my center here, and I'm going to draw a 1.4 inch circle. Now I know that's centered. The next thing I want to do is I want to dimension this from the center point here to my edge here 1 inch. Now, what I know is I have a piece here that connects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm just going to grab my line here, and I'm going to make it 0.5 inches. Oh, it went to 5 inches, so let me redimension that to 0.5 inches. And I'm going to dimension that from my center here 0.3 inches. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to go to 0.5 inches. I'm going to dimension that to my center 0.3 inches. Now again, I can grab that trim tool, and I can trim away my excess lines here. And then I'm going to click on my extrude button, and I'm going to extrude this 1 inch. I want to extrude it 1 inch. And I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to add it as an existing part right there. So what you're going to see is I now have my male end of my track. We're going to go out and put the female end of the track on the same way. So we're going to place a sketch on that center section. We're going to grab that circle tool, and we're going to line up with our center here. And that circle is going to be 1.4 inches, the same as the male side. We're going to grab our dimension button. We're going to dimension it from the edge here 1 inch. Now we're going to do that same process with our lines that we did before. So I'm going to grab my line here. I'm going to do a 1.5 inch line. I'm going to dimension that from my center point 0.3 inches, and going to do the same thing on